Business Review, a daily program that delves into the latest and most significant economic stories. From stock markets to currency news, Business Review covers the most up-to-date developments in the global financial world.
World Soccer Players Union FIFPro's General Secretary said that ending leagues early could be catastrophic despite the sport being at a standstill around the world from the coronavirus outbreak. Jonas Bayer-Hoffmann said that failing to complete the current season was not an option at the moment. The impact, he said, could be catastrophic because you're talking about clubs potentially having income gaps for half a year. He added that if this leads into massive insolvencies, that means that players, but of course thousands of other people working in and around the professional football industry or sports, will lose their jobs. The remarks came after Belgium's Soccer Association, the KBVB, declared on April the 2nd that Club Brugge was this season's champions with a working committee to decide promotion and relegation issues. Bayer-Hoffmann described the decision as relatively surprising, but admitted that part of the reason for the decision was made because broadcasting money had already been secured for the clubs, whether the remaining matches were played or not. Earlier, the English Premier League announced that clubs will consult with their players over a 30% reduction in wages and have voted to provide £125 million, that's $153 million, to lower league teams to help with cash flow problems. Bayer-Hoffmann said that it is right that the players know what their money would be used for in these circumstances. He was also concerned that there had been cases of clubs using the crisis as an excuse to terminate contracts early, sack players, or declare bankruptcy simply as an instrument for not paying bills and wages. Last month, the Swiss club FC Sion sacked 9 of their players for reportedly refusing to sign a wage cut agreement. While football has stopped almost everywhere, it is still being played in Belarus, which Bayer-Hoffmann said FIFPro was very concerned about, and it seemed like quite an irresponsible decision.
It's potato planting season, but many Dutch farmers are facing a mountain of a problem with 1 million tons of potatoes left over from last season due to the coronavirus outbreak. Restaurants in the Netherlands, many serving popular deep-fried patata, have been closed since mid-March, with a ban on public gatherings set to last until June 1st at least. With their closure, the market for potatoes collapsed overnight, a turn of events no one could have predicted, said Dirk de Heer from his farm in Beemster in North Holland. De Heer says he is selling his crop to a dairy farmer for €0.01 per kilogram instead of 18 cents he had hoped to receive from fries factories. De Heer is one of around 1,000 farmers in the Netherlands in the same situation. Food potato production in the Netherlands is roughly 4 million tons annually, of which a quarter is exported. The country's agricultural organization, the LTO, estimates damages from the virus outbreak so far at €6 billion, with the floral industry also hard hit.
Air France-KLM is in talks with banks to receive billions of euros in loans guaranteed by the French and Dutch governments as the airline group braces for a sustained coronavirus shutdown. The two states, which each own 14% of Air France-KLM, have paused the long-running boardroom feud to address the cash crunch. Sources said that the details and amounts are not finalized and could change. Under the most likely scenario, Air France may get as much as €4 billion in French guaranteed loans, while KLM receives close to €2 billion backed by The Hague. The French and Dutch governments also declined to comment in detail on the Air France-KLM talks. Both countries have expressed willingness to offer financial help. Both airlines have slashed flights by more than 90% and reined in costs with the help of government-funded furloughs. KLM, which employs 35,000 staff compared to Air France's 45,000, is also cutting 2,000 positions permanently. Governments around the world are scrambling to prop up major airlines that are at risk of bankruptcy as the pandemic gathers pace, gutting travel demand and bringing traffic to an indefinite standstill. The U.S. Senate approved a $58 billion bailout for the American aviation industry on March the 25th. In Europe, Norwegian Air and SAS have received pledges of state support, while Lufthansa is poised to receive billions in aid.
China's medium-sized and small banks have been operating steadily with risks well under control, despite the slight rise of non-performing loans and adversary external conditions. Vice Chairman of the China Banking and Insurance Regulatory Commission, Zhu Liang, said at a press conference that medium-sized and small banks have an irreplaceable role to play in serving non-governmental businesses, small and micro businesses, and agriculture, rural affairs, and farmers. He said that China has more than 4,000 medium-sized and small banks with a total asset accounting for a quarter of the entire banking system. They are an important component of China's banking system. Generally speaking, they have been operating steadily, although the international financial market is fluctuating and the downward pressure on the economy is increasing and the non-performing loans are also rising. The risks are controllable with the indicators of their main businesses and management and supervision all in the reasonable range. According to Zhu, the financial system is facing some risks and challenges due to the pandemic of downward pressure on the economy, as well as some problems left over from history. The Commission will step up reform and reorganizations with one-for-one policy and by multiple means, according to market and legal principles and in line with the actual circumstances. It will give a full appraisal of the possible risks and map out specific precautionary plans, holding fast to the bottom line that no systemic financial risks would occur.
China's central bank said that China has ample policy tools to stabilize economic growth and the impact of the coronavirus outbreak is likely to be temporary. The central bank set its daily midpoint for the yuan at 7.1104 to the dollar, the weakest level since 2008's global financial crisis. Chinese policymakers have signaled additional monetary and fiscal stimulus to cushion the economy, including bank reserve ratio cuts and special treasury bill issuance, while some local governments are handing out vouchers worth billions of yuan to boost consumer spending. China will also support local governments in injecting capital into small Chinese banks as the risk of a global recession persists.
South Korean Public Corporation held an employment exam at outdoor football stadium as part of social distancing measures to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. According to the public enterprise, more than 100 of job seekers in face masks were seen sitting at a distance of 5 meters from each other at football field, which is about 6,600 square meters, for an entrance exam of Ansan Urban Corporation. The corporation said they conducted the exam in the open air to avoid coronavirus, but also said they couldn't postpone new recruits anymore due to the economic crisis. South Korean companies are racing to secure lifelines as self-isolation across the country hits restaurants, airlines, hotels, and the entertainment industry in Asia's fourth largest economy. Late March, the country doubled a planned economic rescue package to 100 trillion won, or about $80 billion to save companies hit by the coronavirus.
The rampant COVID-19 pandemic has cast a shadow over the world economy, with the total number of confirmed cases nearing 1 million globally. According to the World Health Organization, the global death toll from the pandemic has climbed to 50,489. A total of 206 countries and regions have reported cases. Under the impact of the pandemic, the U.S. saw its unemployment rate soar from 3.5% last month to 4.4% this month. 701,000 jobs were slashed in non-agricultural industries. The U.S. medical care system and social welfare system have been burdened with high unemployment as low-income workers have no wages to sustain their lives once they lose jobs. Worse still, there are about 570,000 homeless people in America. More than half of them are wandering about on streets in 50 big cities. Meanwhile, the WHO said the coronavirus pandemic has claimed 13,917 lives in lockdown Italy, but the country's number of confirmed infections totaled 150,242. A moderate daily increase in the number of new infections was confirmed by experts of Italy's National Health Institute and the Higher Health Council. However, the ISS President Silvio Brusaferro kept warning that the virus has spread to all areas of Italy and strict measures are necessary. Italy, on April the 2nd, reported significant slowdown in economic development. The Confindustria, Italy's most influential commerce organization, said the industry output in March plunged by 16.6% compared to that of February. The Q1 industry output dropped by 5.4% year-on-year, marking the biggest decrease in 11 years. In Spain, the total number of deaths caused by the virus rose to 10,003, with the total confirmed cases reaching 110,238. On April the 1st, Spain became the third country in the world that had more than 100,000 coronavirus infection cases after the US and Italy. Similar to Italy, Spain's tourism industry has received a heavy blow since the virus outbreak. Data showed that 302,000 people lost their jobs in March alone, topping the peak of unemployed people since 2009. To help boost its sluggish economy, the French finance minister Bruno Le Maire said that the government was considering nationalizing for a limited period of time those companies suffering from the financial market turmoil due to the coronavirus pandemic. The minister noted that the government would use all means, including recapitalization, to support enterprises affected by the outbreak, notably those dealing with auto, transport, and tourism businesses.
Business Review, your daily source for the most critical financial stories. Tune in next time for the latest financial news impacting the world economy.